When you are in co-creation with the universe is going to conspire with you in your highest and best. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Power in the Pause podcast. How are you guys doing today? I wanted to speak today to you guys about a personal story. And part of this has to do with how it is that I actually came to adopt and have my amazing mini Bernedoodle dog, Max. And it is something that really taught me the power of the universe and how when we pay attention, like we really pay attention to the signs, when we allow the signs to speak to us, how incredible life becomes and how we really see the power in how the universe is conspiring with us, for us, and in our highest and best. And so before I dive in, just as a reminder, I would love for you guys to subscribe to this podcast. I would also love it if you would please leave a 5-star review so that I can reach more people with this podcast so more people can see it. It helps. Every single one of you can help to do that. But I want to talk about this today because what this moment in getting my dog really provided me with was the trust in my intuition, the trust in the universe, the trust in the co-creation with the universe for me to also be able to scale my business by leveraging the power of the universe. And so the lesson that I'm going to talk to you guys about has to do with when I got my dog. So I had always wanted to get a dog. And when I was married, it was something that we had talked about getting when our kids were older. And when I went through my very unexpected and not desired divorce at the time, it was one of those moments where I didn't need to ask somebody permission to get a dog. And my boys and I were both just in a mental place where I knew that this was the time, right? Like the first moment my intuition started speaking to me had to do with getting a dog. That I had heard, I'd never had a dog, you guys, like my whole life, like 41 years, I had never had a dog. I had goldfish. That was it. And I got them at the Purim Carnival. I never, not once, had an animal growing up. And so this was a really big deal for me to not only get a dog, but to like really go in that momentum. And I had started kind of the process of figuring out, okay, what dog? Because I am very, very allergic to fur. And I'm allergic to cats. I'm allergic to dogs that shed. And so I knew that I needed and had to get some sort of a doodle. And when my now ex-husband and I were in our separation, we actually had talked about getting this one particular kind of dog, a Cavapoo, that was going to be like our family dog and we're reconciling and this whole big thing. And then, of course, when I ultimately decided to file for divorce and that my marriage was over, I wanted to be by myself, that I knew that I wanted a dog and I so badly wanted this Cavapoo, but I knew that it would be a reminder at the time of me not having my family in the form that I saw the dog being with us. And so instead, I decided to start looking at other doodles. And I remember I was at my sister's house and she had a friend who had a mini Bernedoodle. And I was like, what the hell is a Bernedoodle? And it come to find out that it is a Bernese mountain dog and a poodle that are mixed. And you guys, like, I love Bernese mountain dogs. Like, I love them. I have always loved them. Them and golden retrievers, my two favorite dogs that I am super allergic to. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, somebody is telling me that there is this dog called a Bernedoodle. And so I asked for the breeder that my sister's friend got their dog through. And so I went online and it tells you, oh, it's going to be 6 months and all this. And I'm like, okay, 6 months. I can wrap my mind around 6 months. Like I can get in the mindset of getting a puppy. Meanwhile, getting a puppy, okay, filing for divorce, leaving my corporate job, becoming an entrepreneur, being a single mom to 2 boys, navigating the world of being single, plus eventually dating. It was like, holy shit, I'm adding a dog on top of this. But it just, in that moment, I knew that this was my dog. I knew that this dog had come into my knowledge base for a reason. And so I went online and, you put in a deposit of a couple $100. And so I put the deposit down thinking it's going to be 6 months. Like I'm good. Like, oh my God. Then I'm like telling my kids and they're super excited. I'm super excited. I wanted a dog my whole life. I kid you not. 2 weeks later, you guys, I get a phone call telling me that it was my turn, it was my turn. I'm up and there's a new litter and I have first pick of the litter of which dog I want. And I'm going, wait, what do you mean I'm up? I just put my deposit in 2 weeks ago. And she's like, I know. And isn't that so great? And I'm thinking, no, I'm supposed to have like 6 months. And so she's like, well, do you want a dog? And I said, from this litter. And I said, okay, like, yes, I want a dog. And okay, like I felt this like nudge in me to say yes. And she goes, okay, well, the litter is like, I named my litters after Disney movies. And she said, so this particular litter happens to be the Little Mermaid litter because I have 3 daughters and this was what they picked. Like this litter would be named after, the Little Mermaid. And I said, oh my God, like it was one of those next nudges where I'm like, holy crap. Okay. The Little Mermaid is my absolute favorite Disney animated movie. It is like, I love that film. So I'm like, oh my God, my dog is in this litter. Like this is meant to be, right? Like, holy crap. Okay. Yes, this is supposed to be my dog. And so she's like, okay, I'm going to send you a link and you need to tell me which dog you want. And so I'm thinking to myself, at this point, my boys were in school and I'm like, I can't pick a dog without my kids' input. And she's like, it's first come, first serve. And the dog's gone by the time I hear back from you. Like, if you're not going to give me the dog, I'm going to the next person. And I'm thinking, oh my God, it's like sales pressure. And so I'm like, no, I need to talk to my boys. It'll be meant to be. And so I'm looking through the pictures and there were 2 dogs that spoke to me. The first dog's name was Triton. And he had the biggest paws I've ever seen in my life, but he had this cute little face. It was so yummy. And then there was the dog, Max. And Max is the name of Prince Eric's dog in the movie. And Max was just this cute little, definitely had to have been the runt of the litter, just this cute little sweet face. But I could see into his soul, like through his eyes, I could see into his soul. And I knew, I was like, oh my God, this is the dog. And so I had to wait until my kids got off of school and came home so I could show them the pictures. And they both instantly wanted Max. And so I prayed and I was like, please, if this is meant to be my dog, it's going to be my dog. And so I called the breeder back and lo and behold, Max was still available and Max was mine. And I love this story because it taps into like when you are in co-creation with the universe is going to conspire with you in your highest and best. And when we get stuck in our minds, right, when we try to analyze rationally, right, when we try to be logical, that's when we get into the fears and the doubts and the panic and the anxiety and all of this. But when we tap into our intuition, when we allow ourselves to be guided by the universe and we co-create, what ends up happening is that what is meant to be comes to fruition for you. And I know that so many times, like we want things when we want them, but ultimately our intuition in the universe don't play in the same time space that the rest of us do, right? That humans do. And so what I hope that this story inspires you to think about is how it is that there are signs all around you and you may not be paying attention to them. They are conspiring with you. your guidance is there. It is in front of you. It may not be coming exactly, quote unquote, when you want it to, but it's there for a reason, right? Like I could have sat here when the women called and been like, hell no, I had 6 months in my head, right? But the universe is like, actually, you're supposed to get a dog now. You guys get to have that emotional support in the house. And I have to tell you, like, I don't know what I would do without Max. I don't know where me and my boys would be without having Max in this house. And I know that the universe knew better than my ego, who wanted to wait 6 months, right? It was that intuitive I can voice that said, I can do this. It's going to be okay. And with like the voice that said, this is your dog, was so clear. The clarity and the conviction, right, that came with this. And the fact that like I could see his soul in his eyes, I knew that this dog was coming into my life for a reason. And tapping back into that sensation, that knowing, that confident whisper is something that I always ladder back to when I'm trying to make decisions about my business or even my life, but more importantly, my business. And really leaning in and trusting the universe, because every time that I have leaned in and I have trusted, the most magical things have happened. It started with getting Max as my dog, right? Well, it even started before that when I got the signs that my marriage was over, right? It started with Max. It started then the next step with what my business was going to be, because it was something totally different, but I was getting signs that it was supposed to be something else. And then signs around what it was that I was supposed to create, what it was that I was supposed to, how I was supposed to show up, what I was supposed to be creating for other people like me. Then more signs to closed down my 7-figure business, and it was time for me to start my second 7-figure business. And how in a matter of less than 2 months, I recreated a 6-figure business from the ashes of burning down my 7-figure business. Every single time my intuition has led, and every single time that I haven't let my intuition speak to me, I have stayed stuck. I have stayed stagnant. I have wondered why abundance has not come my way. And so I hope that this episode is inspiring you guys to really think about, and first of all, to think about the possibility that the universe is conspiring with you, for you, in your highest and best. And I encourage you to create moments of pause in your life, or when you think there is a sign, I encourage you to pause and to ask the universe, am I supposed to, like, is this the sign? It'll say yes, or your ego will tell you, over here, come over here. It'll try to distract you. But to really pay attention to what your body is telling you in these moments, because you'll feel the calm and the quiet and the reassurance when it is your intuitive I can versus when it's your ego, when it feels anxiety ridden. So I hope you enjoyed my personal story in today's episode. It was one that really just, I was having another conversation and it just sparked it. And I was like, you know what? I want to share this story with you guys, because I don't know that you know this story about my dog, Max. And he is the greatest addition to this family. And I am so grateful that I listened, because he has just been a blessing in every which way. And if you want to check out what Max looks like, he has made some cameos in my social media. So you can check out my Instagram. My handle is Wendy Page Sterling. And I thank you guys for tuning in to today's episode, sending you so much love and light always. Mwah. Bye, everybody.